Today I'm going to spend just a few minutes looking at LexisNexis, one of several databases that are available to you to access information through the ACU Library homepage. LexisNexis is found down here under the database list toward the bottom of the screen. You may have to scroll down a little bit. It's right here at the end of the first line where it just says LexisNexis. This is a database that's specifically going to be able to help you find information that would be news stories. So we're talking about newspapers, magazines, but also, interestingly, transcripts from TV programs. So say you saw an interview with a famous world leader on Dateline or 2020. And you wanted to go and find the transcript to that interview because that person said something really interesting that you wanted to use in a speech or a paper. You could actually find the transcripts to lots of those news broadcasts here online. LexisNexis also has a lot of interesting information about court cases. So if you're giving a speech or writing a paper that deals specifically with finding information from maybe a Supreme Court proceeding, or maybe not a Supreme Court proceeding, but a lower court proceeding, or if you're interested in finding out information on a company, LexisNexis can be a great place to go. When you search for companies here, and I'll just put in Apple, LexisNexis actually does use a plugin that accesses your Java on your computer, and so sometimes these pages can take a little while to load. But you'll find as you continue to click over here that there are lots of different categories. So for example, under the legal section, I could click under recent cases and then go to recent United States cases, and it'll actually help me locate all the recent cases in which Apple has been either the plaintiff or the defense. This also gives a lot of interesting information maybe about where this organization has been in the news. So I could come over here to the In the News section and I could find places where Apple has been located in stories by major newspapers, magazines, again, broadcast television transcripts, or legal publications. So LexisNexis has a lot of applications that are very wide-ranging for finding information. But probably the thing that you would use most for LexisNexis would be to search the news. So I'll go in and search for sort of my default search here, Harry Potter. We'll see what's going on right now in the news with Harry Potter. You could go into source type and make some changes, so you could only ask for newspapers, magazines, wire services like the AP, broadcast transcripts, blogs, etc. But I'll leave it under all major world publications. What you're going to find is that the results here on LexisNexis are very broad. They include many different types of newspapers and probably a lot of newspapers that you might not normally find using Google. So remember that Google knows where you're located. Google can tell that you're located in the United States, and they're more likely to give you results from United States sources first, unless for some reason a lot of your search history revolves around international relations or something like that. LexisNexis, on the other hand, is going to search publications from all around the world, and so it gives you a really interesting perspective with lots of different types of information. So you see that the default here is to be sorted under relevance, and I'm just going to change that to make it newest to oldest, because the most relevant it says is from 2001, but now that's really out of date, and so we want to try to find the most recent information. So recently, Harry Potter apparently has been in a legal battle. There were some fans who didn't believe that it was okay that the different chocolate products being created by Warner Brothers, so fan products, things like chocolate frogs, were being made from chocolate that wasn't fair trade chocolate. And so they thought that it really wasn't very fair that there was sort of a moral code, right, keeping with the moral code of the books, that justice is important, and that because these products weren't reflecting that, they were angry. And so fans had actually set out to conduct a 4-year battle and won in the end. So there actually still are lots of news stories about something like Harry Potter that you even might think is a little bit older. But keep in mind that LexisNexis gives you lots of opportunities to sort of narrow these results. So I can show what the newest news is about Harry Potter, but I can also go over here to the left and I can limit things in lots of ways. So let's say I know the name of the publication that I'm specifically looking for. Maybe I know that I want a major national newspaper, and so I want to go look in the New York Times. I can see here that there are 37 listings in the New York Times that came up as search results. Or if I was giving a speech or writing a paper about something international, and I knew I needed to have some international sources, I could change and look at something like the Telegraph, which is a major newspaper in the UK. So it gives you lots of options. It does a pretty good job of telling you where these different sources are located so that you can see sort of the perspective and maybe the bias that you might be seeing when you actually look up the sources themselves. But you see that there are tons and tons of sources. Some of them are major national papers, others are much smaller. But you see that there are lots and lots of results that you can narrow things down to. Remember that you can also narrow things as in almost any search result between English and other languages. So if you ever have huge search results, one thing that you can do to help yourself not have to look through as many sources is to narrow things down to languages that you speak. And maybe that's not just English, but if English is the only language you speak, that's probably the only language that you necessarily want to look up. Lots of searches also will use keywords to talk about sort of the subject or topic areas of the article. So there could be lots of different reasons that you're talking about Harry Potter. Maybe you're talking about Harry Potter and specifically the movie, and so you're interested in the film or visual arts. That could really help you narrow down your results based on not just your topic of Harry Potter, but much more specifically what you're interested in. But if instead what you're interested in is talking about publication and the publishing sector and what the climate, the landscape is like today for authors, that kind of thing, certainly you could narrow results down in different ways there as well. So keep in mind that subject can be a good way to definitely narrow down your topic. And instead of having to search through, although it's great that there's 999 results here, it could take you a really long time to look through all of those. But if you choose some narrowing based on sources, based on subjects, based on languages, it can really help you to focus a lot more and find more targeted results that are more likely to be successful for you to use in your next speech or paper.